Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Titanfall 2 running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. This time around we're taking a look at it with 8 GB of RAM. We've taken a look at it before with 16 GB of RAM, and the level of performance that we were getting with the lowest in-game graphics settings was really impressive. We were pretty much able to do some high refresh rate gaming even at the 15-watt TDP. Unfortunately, here with the exact same settings that we were at before, the level of performance that we're getting is slightly reduced, at least here in the 15-watt TDP. Even in enclosed areas where the performance should be a little bit better, our 1% lows are going below 60. The 1% lows in the mid 40s isn't exactly a bad experience. It is slightly reduced from where we were at before, but our averages being at 65 currently pretty much means that we're still getting a rock solid experience, and I really wouldn't worry too much about it. This isn't one of those situations where you have to upgrade to 16 GB to get a playable experience. Just know that if you do upgrade to 16 GB, you will get a slightly increased level of performance. But overall, the playability is still perfectly fine at the 15-watt TDP. And in general, I feel like most people will have pretty much nothing to complain about here. It is a very smooth, very nice experience. Not the greatest experience in the world, but for the vast majority of people, and especially for a game that you're mostly going to be playing single player or co-op, you're going to have a very, very decent time. I'm not sure how active the multiplayer is in this game at this point. It's not something that I have ever really played, but overall playing the campaign on here was very fun, and I really did enjoy playing it. So if you're looking for a fun single player experience, this is definitely it, and the level of performance that you're going to get out of this is more than reasonable enough. With that said though, we can try to raise the TDP up to 25 watts and see if that can actually net us an increase in performance and maybe even make up for some of the performance that we lost by just having 8 GB of RAM. One last thing before we move on to the 25-watt TDP though is I want to mention that if you're comparing this to the previous video that I did, just know that the RAM usage that you're seeing on screen in the old video does not compare to the RAM usage here. Reason being is that with the older video, I had MSI Afterburner set to just show the amount of RAM that the application itself, or in this case the game, was just using. It excluded everything else that was system memory. I switched over to just using the full system memory again because the application specific one wasn't exactly the most accurate, and it really was kind of giving people a little bit of a misleading expectation where people that had just 8 GB of RAM thought that everything would be perfectly fine. So switching over to full system utilization, you can see here that we're really pretty much at the border of what is usable here, which really explains why we're seeing some reduced levels of performance in comparison to just having the full 16 GB of RAM. Again, it's not something where I feel like you need to upgrade to actually get a good experience out of this. Just know that, again, if you upgrade, you will be able to get some more performance, and upgrading your RAM isn't really that expensive. I always leave down below a link to the specific RAM that I use because it was such a cheap bargain and the upgrade was super simple to do. Now, switching over to the 25-watt TDP, you can see that we actually make up a lot of the performance that we lost from switching back to 8 GB of RAM instead of 16. Now, the 1% lows don't see a massive uplift and they still stay below 60, but just slightly under. 1% lows in the 50 range isn't really going to be much of a deal breaker for a lot of people, and our averages do get a nice bump where they stay comfortably above 60 at all times. It's certainly not comparable to what we got with the 16 GB of RAM, but it's still more than playable, and you're gonna have a great time like this. So if you're stuck on a system that only has 8 GB and you're trying to find games that you can actually play on there, and you're just not gonna be able to upgrade to 16 GB of RAM, whether it's because you have soldered RAM or it's just something that's completely out of your budget, this is a perfect game to play on there. You're really gonna have very, very little to complain about. And I think Titanfall is one of those games that really just utilized the source engine very well, taking a lot of the advantages of it, where the performance here is just remarkable, and I really wish Apex Legends carried over that aspect of it. In general though, the level of performance that we get is really gonna have you having an absolute blast on here, and I definitely recommend looking into either getting this game on discount because it really goes on sale for very, very cheap prices, or you can play it if you have the Game Pass because you get access to EA Access. And that's pretty much how I've been playing it, and really Game Pass has been absolutely worth having. Absolutely love it. Pretty much one of the greatest things to have happened with gaming, at least until they start to raise the prices up into the $20 to $30 range, which inevitably is going to happen because Microsoft spending billions of dollars buying game studios is really going to end up leading to Game Pass being far more expensive than what it is right now. I can't imagine that they're really going to be turning much of a profit charging just $10 a month for all of this content. But for the time being, I'm definitely going to continue to enjoy it while it lasts. I'm probably going to play more Titanfall. But anyways, if you found this video useful or entertaining, be sure to subscribe. As always, memberships are enabled on the channel if you would like to support that way. It would be greatly appreciated. It would help me get access to more games, get more hardware to test out. So if you want to support the channel like that, be sure to check that out. Throwing a couple dollars my way a month is really going to help out. So if you're so inclined to do that, please check that out. But anyways, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you next time.